Hello everybody, and welcome to race number 1 of the MCC ProAm Karting Series. This is out at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, right outside Batavia, Ohio. And we are rolling out for the pre-final. We have already had one practice and a qualifying session, of which I qualified 9th. As you can see, there's a little bit of water on the track, although the track itself is dry, but in some of the off spots it's a little bit wet looking. We had a little bit of sprinkles, really didn't do much. I was actually surprised how well the MG Reds gripped on a slightly damp track. It was shocking to me, because having driven on MG Reds in the cold, they are crazy slick. So I was expecting, crazy slick grip when you're out there with it being wet, but they stuck. I was really surprised. But anyways, so when we qualified, it was a slightly damp track. I did not do too well on the qualifying. Again, I got in 9th position, and there are 12 of the Masters. We are going out. Supposedly, if you're looking at my rear camera, you see a bunch of other karts back there. That's the junior class. They were supposed to leave a gap, and as you're going to see when we come up to the start, there is no gap. The juniors all start right behind us, and some of the juniors, they had pretty fast times. They would have been on the pole for us Masters. And obviously, not every one of the Masters is going to be on the pole. So directly in front of the fast juniors are about 4 or 5 karts that they should be faster than. So, and unfortunately, I had no idea that there was no gap. I knew there was supposed to be a gap, but I didn't know that they were not going, that they just tagged right on the back end of us as if they were part of our start group. So we're off. I'm a little tentative. This isn't everybody's first race, but this is a lot of people's first race for the season. It's April 15th, I think, the date that we're out there, and pretty early in the spring. I get a halfway decent start. There's people to the right of me. I can't really get. I want to swing out, but I can't. So I've got to really tuck it down here. I think I slightly touched the 17 right there, but it didn't do anything bad to either one of us. But I'm still kind of stuck, and I'm losing a little momentum, so I'm getting freight trained by everybody on the inside of me now. And they have the preferred line into that corner. And I think one more person. This is when I realized, hey, what in the world? Because I know that's a junior. And I'm like, how in the world did he get up to us so fast? And I'd screw up a bobble right there going through that, and that allows the 4 to get his nose up in on me. And I look over and I see that he's there. I probably should have done the stare straight ahead and claim ignorance, and then just kind of, drove like he wasn't there and let him break it up. But that's not my style. I knew I bobbled, and I knew somebody might be coming up on the inside of me, and when I looked, I was correct. There was somebody coming up on the inside of me. So as you can see, I did go too wide all the way through almost the entire first lap of people, and it doesn't do me too good. I've got a few more juniors busting on past me right here. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 of them in front of me now. But it kind of evens out now, and I've got a whopping maybe 1 or 2. I think I may only have 2 of the Masters behind me. When it came to lap times, I think the pole was probably around 1 minute, 9 seconds and a half, around that zone. I think I ended up qualifying pretty slow. And last season I did not do too well on this configuration. I did better towards the end of the season, but when I first got out there on it, I was pretty bad. I was like 2 seconds off the pace, trying, scratching my head. How in the hell am I going to get any faster? But I think I qualified in the 111s. I forget where, but it wasn't too impressive. But I will end up, during this race right here, knock time off from my best time last year on this configuration. Whether I can attribute that to changes I made to my kart, I don't really know just as of yet. Or if I just got a little better at going through the back section, which is where I figure I have my troubles, and that one little dip where I bobbled on the first lap. Those are my 2 main points that I feel like I really need to iron out. But when it came to gearing, I think I probably should have. I ran a 16-tooth driver, and I'm running 35 chains, so I probably should have run a 17-tooth driver and just put a little more pull into my gearing, so I came out of the turns a little bit harder. because I don't think anybody really. I mean, everybody's pretty much hitting the rev limiter at about the same spot. If I would have hit it just a teeny bit earlier, I don't think it would have hurt anything, but it might have helped, because I do know that some of the my buddy who did pretty well, he had a little stouter, a little more torquey gear ratio, but I was still pretty close to him. So all in all, who knows? I'll test it out on the next time out. But I'm going to jump ahead. There's not going to be a whole lot of change moving forward. We all got pretty spread out, and just fell in line. It's the pre-final. I think there were a couple people that made some changes going into the pre-final from the qualifying, so they're probably testing that out. And I did close up just a little bit on some of the other masters. I think 2 or 3 of them are within eyesight of me now, and should they bobble, I might be in a position to capitalize. The 916 right there, she moved up into the juniors this year, but her uncle is the 86 and her dad is the 318, I believe. He's not in this video, but he's been in a lot of my other videos, so I know her pretty well. And I came up on her. I had to make sure I didn't knock her off track. That wouldn't have been too cool, although I did joke around with her that if I did encounter her on the track, she was going in the dirt, but I didn't do that. That would have been cool. But I thought I might be able to close up on the my buddy in the orange helmet up there, and time just basically ran out. Now, some of the changes I did make: my axle is a little wider in the back this year, a little closer to the specs that are outlined by Aero, and I changed my Ackerman settings on the front end. I'm no genius on this Ackerman stuff, but I made the adjustments so that I got a little harder turn in when I turn the steering wheel. My kart basically feels like I'm driving a bus out there sometimes. You have to put some input into the steering wheel. It doesn't just turn easily. Maybe all karts are like that. I don't know. I haven't driven a whole lot of different karts, but mine's pretty stiff. And I wanted to try to make it so that I could just turn in just a little quicker. And it did loosened up my rear end a little bit, I think, whatever that change was. And so I was just getting used to it, but it was relatively predictable. And I did, as I mentioned, I got my best time on this configuration at this point in this pre-final. I got up to, I think, 110.5, which is roughly about a second off of the winner, and maybe about a lot of the faster guys are right around 109.7 consistently, with every now and then they might get that extra couple 2/10 faster and get around 109.5. So for me, it's going in the right direction. I'm wondering if that gear change I talked about a little earlier would have helped me out a little bit, but I'll have to wait till the next race. And again, I watched some of the video from one of my other buddies who did well this weekend, and his line going into this back hairpin section is I would say quite a bit different than the one that I'm running, and his times are way better than mine. So I may be trying to take a little bit of his guidance through this back S section. So nothing's going to change right now. I do believe I finish 9th or 10th, not sure. But the final will be coming up. I don't really make any changes for the final. I think I narrow my front end up a little bit, and that is about it for the final. But again, it was a beautiful day out. The Newcastle guys, I forgot to mention them. I'll talk about them in the final, but they all came out and did quite well, and it was a fun day for all. So see you all at the final.